Hi everyone, we welcome you back. Me News welcome you back today. Today's news, and we ask you to our listeners and our good and efficient listeners and subscribers. We thank you for subscribing. We ask God to continue guiding and protecting you and your families, and whatever you do, prosperity will come to you. God's guidance will be with you, and you will remain protected under the mercy of God. And for those who are our new listeners, we ask you to subscribe, as the blessings of the Lord is following those who have subscribed and following us. So will it come to you in the name of Jesus, in the name of Allah, for those who are Muslims. Thank you very much. What we are bringing to you today is a very serious trading news, a news that has been in the stomach since 2017. It has been burning in the veins, in the arteries for a long time, and it has become so hot that the holder can no longer continue holding it. He decided to vomit it. And who is that? Is the able governor of Almighty Abia State, Dr. OKEZIA IKPEAZU. He has cried out. This cry has been going on for a long time, but the cries, he can no longer hold the tears, so he decided to allow it to burst for the first time since 2017. We thank also the interviewer of the Nigeria Now, Mr. Dixon Inebu. We thank you for interviewing the governor, because without you doing that, he couldn't have released the tension. All the electrons burning in his body, the brain, all the organs wouldn't have been released. So we thank you for releasing the electrons. All the pains he has been suffering internally, he has been able to release it. And what did he release? He released the invasion of the home of the able leader of indigenous people of Biafra in the name of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. For a long time, this incident happened. None of the governors from the southeastern states have been able to tell the public what happened. They have been accused of inviting the military. All things have come against them, and that is why everyone appeared to say, wow, this has happened. So in his interview, he informed the public how the GOC, Army GOC, came to his office and came to discuss on this very incident, that they want to see Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So as a governor, he has to be consulted, he has to be informed. But unfortunately, no person informed him. The military never informed him the actual mission, the date and the time. In this interview, he says IKPEAZU breaks silence on military invasion of Kanu's home. He says the conspiracy against, no, we are not going to go to that. He was particularly, let us face particularly on what he said. The Governor IKPEAZU of Abia State has opened up on September 17th, 2017 military invasion of Afarukuibek, home of the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, denying any pre-information of infamous raid. He rather explained that the army commander at that time came to his office to inform him that he had orders to arrest Nnamdi Kanu. This time around, you see, with this statement, they sent the military to arrest Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now we have to go back to what happened in 2013 in an interview granted to the then Major General Muhammadu Buhari, who was a candidate of the Congress for Progressive Change, where he stated, or where the paper reported, that Buhari forces clamped down on Boko Haram members. In it, he was asked a question, but in response, he said, what is responsible for insecurity or for the security situation in the country is caused by the activities of Niger Delta militants. Kidnappings becomes very rampant in south and the southeast. Then he continued. He says, when this incident was happening, he was comparative in his assessment. He was asked about the Boko Haram. What did they ask him? They say, how did the Boko Haram start? In his response, he said, we know that their leader, Muhammad Yusuf, started his militant and the police couldn't control them and the army was invited. Comparatively, this is where he invited the army. He was venting his anger on what Dr. Jonathan, the former president of Nigeria, did to the Boko Harams and the Niger Delta militants. To him, he compared this and come to the conclusion. Let us see what he concluded. Between these two, the militant headed by Yusuf Mohammed, that is Boko Haram, and the Niger Delta militant headed by Asari Dakubo. Let us see how he sees those of the militants that he said or described having come from the hometown of the president. What did he say? He says, you see, in the case of Niger Delta militants, the late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua sent an aeroplane to bring them. Bring those militants. That is Asade Dokubo and his group. To bring them, and he sat down with them and discussed with them. They were cajoled and they were given money and granted amnesty. Then that is for the Niger Delta militants. See what he said about the Boko Haram. So when he said that the soldiers were drafted to the home of Muhammad Yusuf when police could not control them, and they then the soldiers arrested him and handed him over to the police, just like he sent the soldiers. I think it is very much open now. The army commander at this time has stated what the message that was sent to him, to the governor. He went to the governor, the GOC went to the governor, that he had orders to arrest Nnamdi Kanu. The president never bowed his heart. He just wanted to do the same thing he felt Jonathan, the former president, did to the Boko Haram, and how he treated the Niger Delta. In Buhari's turn, he has been high-handedly mistreating the IPOP members and giving liberal and merciful treatments to the bandits, to the Hismen, to the ISIS, to the Boko Harams, and to the ISWAP. Just to compare, to do the same thing Goodluck did to the group led by Asare Dokubo of Niger Delta militants. Then he vested his anger, not necessarily that they are the IPOP is looking for self-determination, but he saw them as a group that he has to use to retaliate what Dr. Jonathan did to Boko Harams. After all, self-determination is a guideline, is a law, and in international law and human rights law incorporated. And also, it is entrenched in the AU Human Rights Act, AU Human Rights and People's Right. So is there, they are not doing anything that is not constitutional, that is not legal. But carrying arms and killing people and destroying properties and causing one violence or the other is not constitutional. That is why up till now, no international or foreign or Western world has designated IPOP as terrorist organization compared with Boko Haram, compared with Fulani, his men terrorist group. No. So this comparison the president of Nigeria is doing is just to retaliate what he is doing. Nigerians, we don't make comparisons. We don't think of what is happening. Comparatively, if you are at least average, you have to be making comparison of what, when somebody does something, you make comparison. Or is he doing it out of what has happened before, or just generating this new action by himself just to test? But he has made interview since 2013, and he came, and the IPOB came during his regime, and he used the anger he vested against Jonathan to mistreat the IPOP members. Then this invasion that the army commander came to, to relay to the governor of Abia State. Continuously, the governor said, I was not told that anything like that is invasion in bracket, was going to happen. I only saw the GOC, who was at Enugu. Okay, it's a GS82 brigade in Enugu, the zonal commander of Eastern Region. That time, he showed up in my office and told me that he will arrest Nnamdi Kanu. Then another thing that is funny here is that I asked him why. He said the orders to arrest him, he said he had orders to arrest him. He had orders to arrest him. But funny enough, he made his call and he was told that there was a siege already in the house of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's house. He was calling he was calling the traditional ruler to persuade Nnamdi to come and have a word with the GOC, and the GOC has come to arrest him, and you are calling him to have a word with him in your office. That is another funny thing. That's another funny error. He did not say that you assured Nnamdi or assured the traditional ruler, the father, that nothing will happen to Nnamdi, even if there was no siege, that he will come, have a chat and go. But you know that he had orders from above to come and arrest him. So, and he came to arrest him. He never told you that he came with armored car, a newly armored car from perhaps from China or from US. Let us see what the police reported, because the police has to tell us what are the type of ammunition that was used. So in this situation, when police was contacted, the commissioner of police was contacted by Premium Times to know what is going on. Then the police commissioner, whose name is Abia Police Commissioner Leye Oyebade, told Premium Times by telephone Sunday evening. What happened? He is now relating the story of what happened or happening in the, or has happened in the home of the IPOP leader. He said what happened was that the army the army was parading a new armored carrier and passed through Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's residence. That is his own story. So nothing happened. So continuously he told the Premium Times that the police said military personnel were only carrying out a procession to test a new armored carrier. Where are they testing the new armored carrier? That is the question. If he is to be called to give evidence, because he is now part to the case, because he gave a statement, and the statement is this: he has to give evidence and see if his evidence tallied with the reality on the ground. That is why the problem is in Nigeria. Police give information anyhow. They come out to make statement anyhow, because the system does not guarantee that when you give such false sensitive information, you go in and serve at least 3, 4, 5 years imprisonment, like in Western world. Before you give statement, you know what is actually happening. You be on the ground to give accurate statement. Now, thank goodness he has a very effective barrister, lawyer. That is the lawyer of Mr. Kanu, Ifeanyi Ejiofor. He was prompt to give a statement, and his statement, whether he knew about it or not, whether he assumed that this has happened, knowing fully well the processes they have been undergoing in their legal case, he stated he accused the Buhari administration of attempting to take his client's life. Then continuously he said, that is this, just to alert the world that Nigerian military personnel under the command of Chief of Army Staff is presently laying a siege on my client Nnamdi Kanu country home in Umuahia. This is for the first time we are getting the accurate information of what happened. the president has animosity against Goodluck and against the self-determination. But that anger against the self-determination is not purely the fact. The fact is that an organization is formed that is equivalent for retaliation of what former President Goodluck did to the Boko Harams. So he want to retaliate, but he did not retaliate on the side of Asare Dokubo and the former president and his home people as they were described. So this incident has taken us to believe now that the governor of Imo State or the governors from the southeastern state, though most of them knew about it because they were in the meeting in Enugu when they invited the leader of IPOB, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. They had meeting in Enugu and came back, and when they invited him the next one, because of what he saw, because of the experience he had, so he refused to attend that meeting. And perhaps that was why they traced him down to the GOC, came back to Abia State to see the governor and to make arrest. So if you look at the whole scenario, you will find out that time has produced this very interview, because it is stated in Ecclesiastes 3:1-3. It says, there is a given time for everything, a time for every happenings under a heaven, a time for giving birth, a time for dying, a time for planting, and a time for operating. Now we have heard from the governor of Abia State, Dr. IKPEAZU, where the incident took place. But does those incidents that has taken place, is it the first time? Is it the first time this has been happening? That is the question. Has the right of the people been abused under the leadership of
politicians and other Nigerians were clamped in detention without opportunity of having fair hearing in the law courts? Yeah. I think that was the main point against Buhari administration.
So that is the issue. The administration of the president has been assessed. It has been assessed. It has been assessed during the first leadership he gave. It has been assessed on the area of his control, what he does and what he has been doing in the past before he now turned from military to civilian. People remained afraid of his leadership, though those who elected him on the trust that things must have been changed, but unfortunately it didn't change. This is why everybody in Nigeria is suffering. This is why there has been no peace. Things have been going bad. Few days ago, we saw what the former Interior Minister said about insecurity in the country. So, but however, we see how things still move forward in the area of security in the country. Let us see. Let us see now. And see
of July 1984, a team of Nigerian security operatives led by Major Mohammed Yusuf and the Israeli Kassas were on hand to kidnap and bundle back to Nigeria Umaru Dikko. Umaru Dikko was drugged and put into a crate that was labeled as diplomatic baggage. An empty Nigerian Airways Boeing 707 plane was already waiting at the London Stansted Airport, waiting for him to be extradited back to Nigeria. He was abducted right in front of his home and put in a van and driven to the airport, where he was passed off as diplomatic luggage from the Nigerian embassy. Dikko said in an interview with the BBC in 1985, unquote, "I remember the very violent way in which I was grabbed and hauled into a van with a huge fellow sitting on my head, and the way in which they immediately put on me handcuffs and chains on my legs." The Nigerian Airways crew was detained. Buhari responded by ordering a British Caledonia plane that was already in the air, flying from Lagos to London via Kano, to be returned back to Lagos, where it was also detained by the Nigerian authorities. Immediately, the United Kingdom released the Nigerian Airways crew. Buhari also freed the British plane to fly back to London. 17 men were arrested and 4 of them were later sentenced to years ranging from 10 to 14 years. All of them were later released after spending 6 to 8.5 years in jail and were silently deported. Buhari retaliated too by promptly picking up 2 British engineers in Nigeria and slamming 14-year prison sentences on them. To get Umaru Dikko, Buhari turned to an Israeli businessman and a conman known as Elisha Cohen. Mr. Cohen, who had originally come to Nigeria in the 60s, was a representative of Reynolds, a subsidiary of the Israeli construction company Sole Bonaire. And while in Nigeria, he became friends with a lot of military officers like Obasanjo, with whom he did a lot of business. Buhari gave Mr. Cohen $5 million, and with Rafindadi, who was the head of the NSO, and Major General Haladu Hananiya, the Nigerian High Commissioner to Britain, and Group Captain Bernard Bamfa, the Managing Director of the Nigerian Airways, they hatched the plot to kidnap Dikko.
Did your government plan this kidnapping? Why was one of your officials at Stansted Airport last night?
I'm not aware of that.
You're not aware, but it was one of your officials.
I wasn't aware.
Why is the aircraft, the British Caledonia aircraft, held in Nigeria?
I'm not aware of that one.
Have you
Ask
been
the minister.
What did you tell the minister?
Yeah, hello, our listeners. You have heard the news. I don't have to explain to you. That is one of the things that has been going on. It didn't start today. So what is happening is that the government of the day is still the government of yesterday. So what happened yesterday is still happening today. So there has been this lifestyle leadership of this president when he was in the military as head of state, and now that he is the president in a democratic system of government. So the whole incident, the military going to the house of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in Umuahia and invading the house, and you see the house, military vehicle, armored car going to the house to do the procession according to the police commissioner of Abia State, Mr. Leye. He told them that that this is the type of exercise they have to do in the house of a civilian young man and in the house of a traditional ruler. Well, that is all we have for you this afternoon. We ask you to subscribe, share, and listen to us. We bring you up-to-date news and the detailed analysis of what is happening and what has happened in the past. So we thank you. We look forward to hearing from you. Bye, and God bless you. Share, like, and ring the notification bell, and also a thumb, and leave your comment. We'll continue answering you. God bless you all. Bye.